pjnet.tv. It is a Wednesday night, 9 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States, and we have a guest standing by. We have a bumper running, and let me see, we are recording, and we are streaming live, and the chat room's waiting, so let's switch to Studio 8 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, good evening. This is pjnet.tv, and we are live. I am Coach Prasick. I have my coffee, and I hope that you have yours, or whatever your beverage of choice may be. If you want to drink iced tea, we do that, especially here in the South. Folks, we've got a really opportune moment here to have the guest of the upcoming Florida Christian Writers Conference. Now, I don't know how we pulled that off exactly, but Sunbelt Girl gets the credit for it. But many of you already know Eva, and she is the director of this. How long have you been the director?
Mark Hancock and I took it over in 2012, toward the end of 2012, and then 2013, February 2013, was our very first time at bat. Before that, Billy Wilson, who had it for many years, like I think 25 years before us, had directed it, and her health had begun to fail her, and she has since passed away and gone to be with the Lord. But Word Weavers International, of which I'm the president, basically purchased it from her, and we've been running it ever since.
Well, but everything changed this year.
Yeah. Did it now?
That is an understatement, folks. We've been in the green room for the past 20 minutes or so talking about this. Yeah. But Eva, really, I shared with you, but I want to share in a more public way. Your leadership. We are in uncharted waters here. Okay. And I don't know if people understand the weight and gravity that is on your shoulders. What are some of the wrenching decisions that you're having to make or have had to make?
Well, we also have the North Georgia Christian Writers Conference. We hold that in March. And toward the very, very beginning of March, I think ours was set for like the 8th or 9th, somewhere in there. I can't even remember now. This has been the longest year I've ever experienced. the longest 6 months ever in the history of 6 months. But I had just come back from the North Carolina Christian Writers Conference, where I was a speaker, and was getting ready then to have my own, and we were genre specific. Your good friend, my good friend, Michelle Medlock Adams, was going to be at that particular conference, as well as many others, and we were set to go. Everything was great. But, there was this rumbling coming in, and everybody was starting to talk. And the week before the conference, we were bombarded with emails. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And, of course, we didn't know what to do at that point.
What about my money?
Well, yeah, that was it. Where's my money? And here's the truth of it. And I shared this with you earlier. Most people don't realize how this works. You pay your money, and then we have to pay the conference center, but we're paying them before we get there, because that's their guarantee. Sure. They can't run on promises. This is the business for them as well. Mm-hmm. So the answer to that question was, we don't have your money, and so we don't know what's to do. And I'll be honest, I received some very hateful emails, just absolutely blasting my character. You don't care about people, you only care about money. Well, that certainly isn't true. I was a nurse for many years, so obviously I do care about people. I quit nursing. That's how we know that I care about people. No, but seriously, you have to have a caring heart. And so as a post-medical professional, I was studying this very closely, and of course had the same concerns, and I would wake up every morning just sick to my stomach about what are we going to do. I would go to bed in tears every night. And so then, of course, the Friday before the Wednesday that we were supposed to have the conference, the president shut the country down. And well, there was our answer. And so we were able to get our money back, which meant we were able to pay the money back to the people who had signed up for the conference. But typically, the Florida conference has always been held the last part of February, the first part of March. We had reversed it this year, and we made the North Georgia conference in March, with the Florida conference then toward the end of October. And so my thought was, well, full steam ahead, because by October, this thing is just going to be, ancient history. And of course, it hasn't been. But again, as a medical professional or post-medical professional, I started studying the numbers. I wrote them down every single day. And I realized that something was amok. And that if you started talking percentages, the percentages of people who had gotten sick compared to the percentages of people in the numbers of people in the United States, it was fairly small. Now, that's not to negate that this has been an impactful illness. I know 3 people who have passed away. They had other extenuating circumstances, but they still contracted COVID and they did pass away. But I also knew from talking to people I know in the medical profession that COVID was getting blamed for deaths that it had nothing to do with. And so
it's comorbid.
Yeah. It's like somebody comes in and, they're dead on arrival after a motorcycle accident, and you mark it as a COVID death.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
That's right.
And so, I had to start weighing those things out. Ironically, the majority of the emails that I received for the Florida conference were, please don't cancel, please don't cancel, please don't cancel. We've had a few who signed up for the conference who said, I have to be realistic. I have an elderly spouse, or I have a compromised situation. And hey, that is your decision. I'm not here to hogtie anybody to come to my conference. But unless something catastrophic happens between now and the end of October, we are having this conference, and we are excited about it because there have been a few other conferences that have been held, and there have been no issues at all. Right. I think we're ready to get back and see each other again. Physically see, virtual conferences are great, but they're not the same as. So we are looking forward to that.
Well, they're not the same, and I have rejoiced that it has pushed us or drug us by our hair, as the case may be, into virtualizing and entering the digital space. I rejoice. I really do, and I hope that continues. And by the way, I don't know where you find time to do all this, but sometimes I get up early and I go on Facebook, and there you are doing your Bible study around 10 o'clock, and I'm thinking, gosh, I have trouble finding time to do my personal devotion to the point that I have to use the book. I prop it up against my computer, covering up the power button.
Yeah. There you go.
But you have maintained that. Now, conferences, the landscape has changed, obviously. How will the upcoming conference be affected by the countermeasures and changes that you're taking in response to COVID?
Well, first of all, we are limiting the number of people who can attend. So we usually have anywhere from 250 to 300 people. We're limited now to 160, and that includes faculty. So we'll see much fewer numbers. We are in McGuire this year, which is the larger building, the larger auditorium that can space the chairs 6 feet apart. And of course, once you get in there, if you have a spouse that's with you, if you want to sit next to each other, slide those chairs together. We don't care. But we also will have plenty of hand sanitizer. And when you are in those tight groups, you wear a mask or a face shield. When you are not, if you're sitting down in your chair, you can take it off. When you're eating, we're not going to expect you to wear a mask, but when you're standing in line, then Lake Yale, which is where we have the conference, Lake Yale Baptist Conference Center, they want you to wear either the face shield or the mask. My staff will be in face shields because I'm not asking them to talk the amount that we have to speak to everybody, breathing in and out, in and out, in and out, our own carbon dioxide, just I'm not going to do that. So we're going to use face shields like many physicians actually use. And, there's so much controversy over masks, over face shields, over hand sanitizer, over this, over that. But you know what? We're going to do the best we can and not listen to the naysayers in the process. For heaven's sakes, wash your hands. Be careful, what you're touching. Keep your hands off your face. Isn't that what they've been saying all along anyway? Those kinds of things that are just logical things to do. Lake Yale, they are taking fantastic precautions on our behalf, and they have been since they reopened several months ago. And again, several months ago, they began having conferences again. No problems. Nobody has gotten sick. Everything's good, So we're just going to go there believing for the best and just ask everyone to use common sense.
One thing that, it is hard, as you said, to toss and turn at night, stomach upset, headache, I know your pain. Not only do I feel it, I know it. But you can take some comfort when you step back and say, no matter what I do, somebody's going to be upset with me.
This is true. This is true. But I got to tell you, I'll be honest with you. I had a few tears that ran down my cheeks this afternoon because this has been the hardest since that very first time when we took over. Because when it was handed to us, we only had 4 months to plan it. Now, ever since, we've had a whole year to plan it. And, but that time we only had 4 months. This has just been the most difficult since then. And I remember back in 2012, heading into 2013, I said to Mark several times, when this is over, I'm going to just put my head down on the table and cry like a baby because I just, was so exhausted. But this time I've actually cried sitting at my desk because number one, it's been a lot of hard work and a lot of stress. And number two, again, I know people mean well, I do, but I don't need everybody's opinion, because they're at ends with each other. When the majority, let's say 95%, are in the middle and they're saying, do this, please do this, we are behind you 100%, that helps. That helps a lot. But it's just been a real tough go this time because you want to make sure that everybody is safe. But as you and I were saying earlier today, there's a risk when you get in the car to head that way.
There you go.
Risk if you're getting in an airplane to head that way. There's a risk every time you step out your front door. So we held Florida Christian Writers Conference in the middle of flu season for 30 some odd years and, survived it. So I'm hopeful.
I'm going to keep turning my mic down. Speaking of risk, the Eagle Nest studio for PJ Net is very much on the outskirts of what was Hurricane Sally. And it sounds like one of those bands is coming through and the tin roof is making a sound. All right, let's get off COVID. Let's get more positive. Who's going to be there? I know we don't have time left to enumerate all of them, but go through some of the faculty that is coming. And what about the person who has never been to a conference who might be thinking, should I?
Yeah, well, first of all, yeah, you should. Every day, Mark, as the president of Word Weavers International, I get the question, how do I do this? How can I get my work in front of an editor? How can I write a book proposal? How can I get an agent? Those kinds of things. And the answer is always the same. Go to a Christian Writers Conference. If that's what you want to do, that's where you're going to have to go because you have to go where they are. The old days of packing up your manuscript into a manila envelope and mailing it to an agent or an editor in hopes that they're going to open it up and say, oh my gosh, this is the best thing I've ever read. Those days are over. They don't do that anymore. They go to conferences and they meet you, and then you get to meet face to face. You have a connection then. They will remember you. That's how I ended up in this industry. Over 20 years ago, I went to it wasn't a convention, but a conference, but it was a convention. But I had the opportunity to sit down and talk to editors while I was there. And so I made appointments with 12 editors. And with all the energy I could absolutely muster, I sat down and I told them my idea, and I had excitement about it. And we ended up having these, great one-on-one conversation. And 9 days later, I got my very first contract from a wonderful, wonderful house, Barber Publishing. And some of those people have remained my friends all these years, but it's because I connected with them on the spot. That doesn't happen through the mail. That doesn't happen through email. So you want to go to the conference and just know that you're going to have all this opportunity, not only to learn in workshops and to be inspired in keynote addresses and to praise and worship the Lord during our praise and worship time. By the way, we have Linda Shazo as our praise and worship leader this year. You may not know her by name, but I promise you know her by song. You've probably been singing her music for many, many years, and you will definitely know her after this. She ushers in the Holy Spirit like nobody's business. She's wonderful, and I'm excited she's going to be there. But we have quite a list of editors, and I hope I can remember them all. We have, see, I'm doing really well here. Cindy Lambert from Baker, and Karen Porter from Bold Vision Books, and we have Athena Dean from Redemption Press, Sherry Cowell from EA Books, Deb Haggerty from Elk Lake. We have John Hearing, who is he is the president. He is the big P. He's the big publisher of Iron Stream Media, which has numerous imprints. So you can come and talk to him about any of those. Karen Beery, who is with Guiding Light. We have people from, Focus on the Family. I'm trying to think. Gosh, now I can't think of the name of it, but Craig Von Busick will be there.
Oh, yes.
He does a lot of internet writing, that kind of thing. So, I mean, it's just this great variety. Cindy Sproles will be there. So then on the agent side, we have, I think you may know Bob Hotstetler. Do you know Bob?
I've certainly heard the name.
We like to pick on Bob. So, yeah, Bob will be there. And we have Del Dudois will be there. Linda Glaze will be via Zoom because, she's one of those that was kind of in a compromised situation. So she'll be there via Zoom. Blythe Daniel from the Blythe Daniel Agency will be there as well. And I'm trying to think, there's one, Melissa Richardson. She's a children's book agent. She will be there. We have a lot of wonderful people like Carol Kent will speak on speaking. So she'll do the continuing class on that. Because she was with Women of Faith, and she's with Speak Up Incorporated, and she has her own conferences as well. Rachel Houck, New York Times bestseller. Rachel Houck will be there to teach on writing fiction. Lori, oh gosh, I can't believe her name just went right. Lori Hatcher will be there to talk about writing nonfiction books. Edie Melson is going to lead the spiritual retreat while we are there, which is wonderful. Ava Pennington is going to teach for 8 hours on how to write devotionals. And then we also have our critique sets that they're already filled up. They only take 10 every year. They fill up like that. So that is already a go. Bethany Jett is going to be there. I know you know Bethany. Michelle Medlock Adams will be teaching the children's writers a continuing class. So, I mean, it's just going to be an incredible time. And two things that we do that's a little different at Florida Conference. We bring in a massage therapist to do chair massage because everybody gets so tired from lugging stuff around and and just the tension of getting there, or maybe even sleeping in a bed that you're not familiar with. So we bring in this wonderful lady, Kristen Churchill. She comes in, and then we also bring in a professional photographer to do headshots, because again, that's one of the most important things you can have as a writer, is a good headshot for promotional purposes. And Malcolm Yon will be there again this year for that purpose as well. So we have a lot of fun while we're there. We have a bookstore where you can bring your products, or you can purchase products, and we just have a good old time every single year. We have a great time.
You're pretty lit up. Okay. Folks, when I spoke with her earlier to arrange a test run, she said she's normally in bed by this time, but I think you had your coffee. That sounds like
I didn't. Well, and I know it's going to be a shock for people who know me well, but I quit drinking coffee about a year ago. Every so often I'll have a little bit, but mostly I'm a tea person now, because
okay.
I went to Ireland.
You just came. That wasn't long ago.
I just had to adapt, and then I fell in love with it, and so I'm a tea person. Yeah.
They do things different over there, and you bring it over here. Good enough.
Yeah.
And,
but no, I took a good walk, and then I took a nice hot shower, and totally got all ready for this, and I'm awake now.
Yeah, you might as well stay up for Michelle Medlock Adams, who is on next.
No, is she next?
At the bottom of the hour. She is our guest every Wednesday night, unless she is traveling, and unless she is under deadline, and unless it's her anniversary, and unless
or she's got grandkids.
Yeah, unless there's a grandkid being born. But I tell you what, even when she has an unless, she always arranges somebody to bless us so much. Yeah. And Eva, you've been such a blessing. And again, your leadership in these uncharted waters that we are navigating, you are at the helm, and our confidence is in you, because your confidence is in the Lord. And I am grateful that we are once again moving back, not only to normalcy, but moving ahead and forging ahead. Folks, whatever happens, God is in control. And his will shall be done by his people. So thanks for being the tip of the spear. Thanks for taking the heat. I know you've taken some.
I've taken some, but it's going to be good, and it's going to all be okay. I'm a big girl. I've been around, 6 decades and a few years, so I can take it.
Yeah. We're about the same age. Yeah. Okay. Eva, thanks for sharing with us tonight. Godspeed. If there's anything that PJ Net can do to further you in your mission and ministry, I certainly hope that you will call upon us. We'd love to.
I will. I have a couple of books coming out next year. You'll hear from me.
Okay. We'll be right here. All right.
Well, folks, tell Miss Michelle I said hello.
Tell Miss Michelle that she said hello. Hi, you are looking at the view of the Eagle's Nest from one of our 7 cameras. The ever-increasing count goes up, it seems, almost daily. Folks, don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. Michelle Medlock Adams will be coming our way at the bottom of the hour between... Oh, I'm sorry, Eva. I'll get this right. Okay. It's right now. Okay. Before I leave, I've got some work to do to get everything ready, but I would like to pose 2 questions that I hope that you will take seriously and answer them to yourself. First question: what is the boldest thing that you have ever done for Jesus Christ? The second one then would be, when was that? Folks, you have just heard from some of the bold leadership that is carrying forth in ministry and doing the work of God's kingdom, and it's going to take that kind of boldness. So I sincerely hope that none of us would ever be satisfied with either answer.